welcome to Truth Talkin' Thursday. We got Jim, we got Jane, we got coffee, we got hot chocolate, and we got our mouths.
It's cold chocolate now, actually, but there you go.
My bad. We, the camera just started rolling now, but honestly, we've been sitting up here for probably an hour doing this. So, hopefully we haven't talked all the good out. But, last week, we kind of finished up talking about deadbeat dads in the, I guess we kind of said what can be done about it. And that's kind of where we left off, I think. Right. Now for me, I guess that probably kind of maybe hit a nerve last week. Oh my goodness, okay.
Hit a nerve, yeah. Yeah.
Busted that thing wide open. No.
Skinned a little devil, yeah, we did.
There was blood everywhere.
Yeah, blood in the streets.
Yeah. We might have murdered the jackalope.
We could have.
No.
We could have very easily.
No, there's no violence. We discussed this already. There's no violence.
No.
So, for me, I think that releasing the frustrations of the past has been very huge for me. And obviously, I'm not done yet. There's obviously a lot of negativity that, needs to be channeled and released. And that's a really good thing. So I think in the past, it was kind of overwhelming for me. But thinking about deadbeat dads, I think that there needs to be some qualification as far as what constitutes a deadbeat dad. And I know we touched on that briefly last week. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, we tend to include an awful lot of people into that term that don't rightfully belong there, and we make judgments about other people that are certainly fair in some cases. There's no question about it in my mind, and we had mentioned that there's deadbeat moms out there as well who they're deadbeat parents. I mean, they just don't get being a parent and all that sort of thing, but for us to take a certain segment of people and because they aren't doing what we think they should do, to charge them with the idea that they're deadbeats because you're not doing it the way you're supposed to do it and all that kind of thing, I think is really unfair, not only to them. And I've given, don't burn me in effigy here, but I agree that there are people who definitely fall within that category. There's no question whatsoever, and we need to be able to deal with them successfully. People need to be protected from them, all that kind of thing. But there are folks who are doing their absolute best, and they just can't get it together, or they can't, for whatever reasons they can't do those things that we expect them to do. That doesn't make them deadbeat dads or deadbeat moms. So there does have to be some qualifications of some kind, some standards that we need to be able to operate by that says, if this and this and this and this is happening, then that sort of constitutes being a deadbeat parent. So we have to be really careful, I think, and we get angry and resentful, and we carry that through our day-to-day living experience with our kids and our neighbors and our friends and colleagues at work and all that sort of thing, and it just makes life miserable for us when we do that. So we have to be careful, I think, that we don't judge everybody by the same behavior. That we need to be careful not to do that.
I totally agree with that. I think that did you ever see Mrs. Doubtfire with Robin Williams?
Yes, yeah. Excellent movie.
Love that movie. I've watched it several times. And, there's a good example of what society would classify a deadbeat dad. He didn't have a job. And, he was jacking around all the time. But, his kids loved him. And I think ultimately that needs to be a huge consideration, is the ultimate welfare of the child. Mm-hmm. As you said, that there are times when it is in the best interest of the child to be kept away from one parent or the other, or both, if they're both incapable. I think for me, I guess I'm thinking in general of, let's say, a deadbeat person as instead of giving them a gender. To me, it's just somebody that is not living up to their potential. They're just not interested in functioning at all.
Or the standards that society has created, in terms of what constitutes an absent parent. Well, somebody who does this and this and this and this, and he or she are capable of doing those things. They just choose not to.
Yeah.
That's a deadbeat dad to me, or a deadbeat mom. That's a deadbeat parent. Somebody that can do what's expected of them by society standards and choose not to.
But on that note, coming back to my experience again, and the things we talked about earlier, I don't have control over that. I can't make a deadbeat dad do what he is supposed to do. He's going to do whatever it is that Jackalope wants to do. And the only thing it's going to do is make it harder for me if I hold on to anger and resentment because of that. It doesn't matter if it's justified on my end or not. Reality is reality. Yes. And if I focus on the negative, it will not help me move forward in my life in any way.
Exactly.
It won't. It'll drag me down and suck me down into all of the justified wrongdoings that I suffered or am still suffering, and I won't be able to move forward to my full potential. And I don't want to be a deadbeat.
That's right. No, and you're spot on. You're spot on right with that. That's why it's really important for us to not make judgments of other people.
For sure.
So what do we do? How do we deal with that situation in a personal sense? What do we need to do here that helps us make the best out of a situation that wasn't great to begin with?
I think if you're asking me personally, I think literally it's all about going on. It's about moving forward and not getting stuck on negativity, whether past negativity or, sometimes I would say probably most of the time when there is a separation of parents where the deadbeat parent is called into question, there's been a separation, right? There's been separation, there's been divorce, there's been something that has torn the family apart, but they don't necessarily leave the community, right? You still end up coming in contact with them somehow, especially if there's kids involved, right? And I think for me, and I think this is a process. Well, you kind of pointed it out. I'm still kind of working through it as far as how to go forward. But I think I loved what you said earlier. And again, this was off camera. I'm so sorry that you missed it. I'm sorry I turned it off, or didn't turn it on, I should say. But I really liked what you said about forgiving myself for being part of the situation that I was in for so long, and for not dealing with the things that were in my control to deal with, and letting myself off the hook for that and saying, you know what, I forgive me for all of those things, and it's time to move on. And again, putting aside any resentment that I have towards that deadbeat dad, and being able to just say, you know what, like, I don't wish you any harm. Enjoy your life, and leave me alone, kind of deal.
I'm moving ahead.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. A little bit hazy on certain things still, but the value and the importance of casting aside judgment, anger, negativity, all of those things, that's not going to benefit me and who I want to be. No,
nor your kids.
Yeah.
If you're the parent that has custody of the kids, I mean, the kids should be allowed to, in my view, the kids, if they're old enough, and when they're old enough, I'm talking about 12, 13, somewhere in around that age, they should be allowed to choose where they want to be. They should be allowed to choose which parent they want to be with. And they may choose to be with the other guy, the other parent, and that's going to hurt, and it's going to create resentments and all that sort of stuff. But if we're talking about the welfare, the best interests of the child, then we have to allow the child to make that call. And 9 times out of 10, I'd say, or 99 times out of 100, the kids are going to make the right call. They're going to make the right call for them.
Yeah.
And if we get involved in trying to force the kids or coerce the kids or something like that to not go to the other person, then that's all negativity again. They're full of negativity and resentment because mom or dad won't let me see my mom or my dad, and it's just that negative energy just keeps going round and round and round. The whole forgiveness piece for me is just that. It's not saying that I was wrong. It's not saying that I did something wrong. It's not letting the other guy off the hook. It is simply making sure that I address my emotions with me. That's it. This is all about taking responsibility for me as a human being on the planet and saying, you know what, it's not a matter of forgiving the other person. It's a matter of forgiving me, my own self, for being involved in that and allowing it to hurt me longer than it deserved to. And I'm no longer accepting that hurt. I'm going to forgive myself for doing that. I'm going to move on, and you have a nice life over there, and I'm going to have a nice life over here, and away we go. Easier said than done. I understand all of that, but that's the process. We cannot try to change other people into who we want them to be so that it feels better for us.
Exactly.
Because it is not going to happen.
Exactly.
I can guarantee you it is not going to happen. Nor would it happen if it happened the other way around and wasn't the other person trying to change you into somebody that you didn't want to be. How did that feel for you? You got angry, you got resentful, and you know all those kind of things. So this is simply about taking responsibility for who you are as a human being and doing all the things that you need to do now that create a better quality of life for you. That's it. That's what it's about. And if that means forgiving yourself for being taken in, then that's what it is. That's it.
And there you have it. There you have it. Bam! And nobody was harmed in the filming of this video. Is that not great?
No, there was no blood spilled.
And there's still laughter, there's still smiles, there's still positivity. Positivity.
There you go.
I can speak.
Yes.
So, all in all, we rock. That's really all I have to say. So,
yes.
You know what? Have a great week, and we will be back next time with something equally thrilling to talk about.
Yes, we will, and thank you for stopping by.